Now, many people they ask me what exactly is the scope of Selenium. There are many automation testers coming from QTP background as well. Now, QTP is like almost there are very few openings in the market, right? Although there are some projects which are still following UFT QTP, but as compared to the previous initial time, the demand is very less. Companies are moving towards Selenium. So you'll find majorly opening around Selenium itself, right? So now, like QTP is almost out of the market. So will this thing will gonna happen with Selenium as well in future? So when we are talking about this course, we are not just learning Selenium, right? There is endless scope in Selenium. We are actually building up our automation base, right? Selenium. If I talk about Selenium, Selenium comes at a UI level. After that, there is a middle layer. Then there is a DB layer, right? So Selenium automates anything that is on the UI part. This middle layer is also very important these days. This is also called as an API layer, right? Say if I talk about application facebook.com. Now when we like there's a login window on Facebook, you enter username and password and click on submit button. When you click on submit button, the UI directly does not interact with DB. There is a middle layer which actually sends that request and gets the response back, right? So UI is not directly communicating with the DB layer. At times it happens that even if the UI is not designed, the middle layer is already ready. Let's say this is login UI. There is an API for login as well. So this is login API. Login API is available in a form of XML or JSON, right? Which is actually a REST API. So at times when the UI is not designed, company wants us to still to test this login functionality. So we can directly perform testing on the login API, right? The XML part, the JSON part. Maybe I need to test the login functionality with 1,000 users. So if I do it on UI level, then 1,000 times the browser will be launched, information will be entered, and the browser will quit. But if I test it on XML, there'll be no browser, there'll be no UI. Within few seconds, the testing will be done. And if the things are working fine at the API level, you're not gonna find any functionality related issues on the UI level. The issues will be only the cosmetic issues, formatting related issues, right? So this API level testing is also very important. Now coming back to the scope, Selenium is at UI level. We have seen that Selenium is only for web-based testing. Now instead of web-based, you can perform testing on database as well. We have seen like we can uh, include MySQL jar file, SQL jar file, and we can integrate this database part with Selenium as well, right? There is something called as mobile apps. Now these days, mobile testing is on a boom as in like every big application, not even big application, there are many companies who have their web application, they have their mobile applications as well. Now at times when we are traveling, we don't carry our laptop everywhere, and most of the time we are on our cell phone device, on iPads, on tablets, and at times we do some purchases as well. Like there's an Amazon application, there's a Facebook application. We enter our credit card and debit card information, perform the transaction, purchase stuff from our mobile device. So if the testing of web based is very important, same way the testing of mobile applications are very important. So mobile has a equivalent market as we have for web based testing. So for web based we have Selenium. For mobile as well, you need not to learn any new technology. There is a wrapper over Selenium which is called as Appium. Same test that you run it on your browser, you can execute the same test on your mobile device as well using Appium. And Appium is nothing, it's just a jar file. the Java library. I'm going to show you examples of Appium as well in this course, right? The stuff that we're going to do on web based, same stuff we can execute on a mobile device as well. So you can see using Selenium, like if you are familiar with Selenium, you can easily work on Appium as well. If you want, I can show you some code for Appium. Just be with me for a few seconds. What I'll do, I'll connect my mobile device and I'll gonna show you one of the code for mobile automation. And you're gonna see the code is almost similar that we have seen for web-based. So let me turn on Appium. Appium is nothing, it's just a server, a services. So let the Appium be turned on. Give me a moment. Let me connect my mobile device. So I'll show you the screen, my mobile screen from. I'll show you my mobile screen from one of the software called as TeamViewer. So this TeamViewer, I can even take a remote of your machine, and I can even take a remote of my mobile device. Sorry, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so this is going to connect my real mobile device. Let me see, it's slow. Give me a moment. Okay, so this is my real device, right? So what I'll do, just give me a moment. Okay. We have seen a code for, let's say, executing things on Firefox. Don't worry about the syntax. I'm going to write some code over here, something like driver.find element by dot name q dot send keys. Don't worry about what the code is. After some time, it will be very much clear to you. But for the time being, what this code is doing, if I run it again, it will gonna launch the browser. Okay, it's navigating to the wrong website. I'll go to google.com. If I run this thing again, so it will launch a browser, will navigate to google.com, and we're gonna type hello Selenium, right? So the purpose of executing this code is just to show you the syntax, because when we are working on Firefox, we need to use Firefox driver. If I want to execute the same code on Chrome, I'll be using Chrome driver, Internet Explorer driver. And now if I want to execute things on Android, I'll be using something called as Android driver. And below is the same code, driver.find element, by.id, or over here we have seen by.name, right? This is the same code, same syntax. So this is basically a WebDriver code only. But what will happen if I run this code now? If I run this code now, I'll show you the mobile device. It will start executing things on mobile. Let's see. What this code will gonna do, this will launch the dialer application on my mobile device. Oh, just a moment. And see, it is making a phone call. And now it will click on the dial button, right? So this is all done with the help of this code, right? So this is what the magic of Appium is. And Appium is nothing, it's just a wrapper around your WebDriver code, right? The only complex thing in Appium is the configuration part. And I'll be teaching you the configuration from scratch, so you need not to worry about it. So this much part, you should be able to do it in this course as well, right? So although I have a very detailed course on Appium which covers iOS and Android on the latest Appium API itself, so but this much part you should be able to do it on your own as well within this course. So now you can see database we can do, web-based we can do, right? And mobile-based as well we can do if we have knowledge of Selenium. Now Appium guys, they are coming up with another wrapper for desktop application. It is already there in the market called as WinApp driver. If you search for this WinApp driver, this is another jar file. Through this, you can launch calculator on your desktop and you can perform testing on that calculator as well, right? So that is what this WinApp driver is all about. So desktop part can also be handled. There are other tools, open source tools as well. AutoIT is there, SQL is there, and number of open source tools are there. But WinApp driver is something related to WebDriver only. I mean, it's just a wrapper over WebDriver. Same thing if we talk about web services. Now, Postman and SOAP UI, these are majorly used for manual testing of these API, right? Although you can do some scripting as well, but majorly, I mean, they are separate tools, and SOAP UI is a bit licensed as well, right? And majorly, I've seen people use this tool to hit REST APIs and SOAP APIs, right? But if a framework is already developed for the UI part, right? Let's say the companies have designed the entire framework for UI automation and they've included mobile automation in the same framework as well, right? You need not to create a separate framework for it. Now, company wants that they should handle the API part as well in the same framework where they have integrated Selenium. And API, as in, we are not going to hit APIs manually. We want the API automation process. API should also be automated. So how that can be done? That can be done with the help of another open source API called as REST Assured API. So now you can imagine the scope. You are building up your base for automation using Selenium. Once the base is built up, all these things are done using open source API itself. There is no license required for it. So you yourself can see QTP is a tool which has got a limited functionality. Whereas in Selenium, you're not just learning Selenium, you're learning many technologies. So all these things will be used, whatever that we have discussed over here, all these things will be used in Appium as well, in REST Assured as well, in all these APIs. So you can integrate everything in one single project. So down the line, if you are into this Selenium automation industry for 2, 3 or more than that years, then you'll see that you will be including all these things in your automation. That is what the scope of Selenium is, right? So I'll really want to help you in building up a strong base for automation, a strong base for basic core Java programming, right? And then we'll be working on live projects as well, right? So that's all in this lecture. In the next lecture, like there are some core Java concepts, very important concepts that you need to go through, especially the OOPS concepts before you get started with WebDriver. I would recommend you to go through all the polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction, interface, overloading, overriding. These are very important concepts that you should go through. From the these concepts are already covered in this course, so just try to go through these lectures and then start following WebDriver, because ultimately we'll be working on WebDriver only. And to work on WebDriver, your core Java base should be very strong. All right, so thanks a lot.